Rain fell for 13 consecutive days in the town of Lilith, Ohio. Each drop was searching for someone specific. More rather, Seth was. His goal was simple: wait till the cabin fever set in. It was only a matter of time. He could use anyone or anything he needed to see and hear his way across the planet. So why couldn't he find him? The one that Williams said would end his shit and balance it all. Seth sat in the middle of the studio apartment that he ransacked the night before. Floating above the hardwood, head facing the ceiling, arms arched inward, he focused on the mind of a middle-aged man on his porch smoking a cigarette in a suburb. Seth located him through a meticulous process that started with a young kid throwing up his cheeseburger. When the child heaved out his last pickle, he realized he made the right choice. This was William's boy, the boy whose father's mind he couldn't get into. When Seth peered in, all he could find was a duct tape making an X. He studied the wood that it was stuck to. Oak, he said. That action through a million discoveries in a matter of seconds led him to his current astral position. He was close, but not close enough. "Why can't I find him?" Seth exclaimed. He loathed the thought of having one person he couldn't invade, let alone two. The man on the porch flicked his cigarette, breaking away from Seth's influence for just a second. His eyes were calmly scanning the area as he was lost in his thoughts. Seth altered the man's movement, but only slightly, just enough to read the sign. "Aston Street," Seth said aloud. He then used all the matter in that block radius to focus his energy on the town. That's when the rain started. Seth is what scientists would call a 1 in a quadrillion case, or rather, impossible. No one knew how or why he was able to achieve what he did, but what everyone did know was when it happened. Nevada, in the middle of nowhere, August 12, 2019. A seismic wave was sent through the crust of the earth that caused everything from tsunamis, eruptions, and city decimations. Some areas were unaffected. It is still unclear why. That wave, however, changed the life of one man forever. His name was Arlo. His day started as any other: a cup of coffee and his favorite album that was played a little too loud. As always, it was perfect. What he was sure was not perfect was his attempt to finally ask Candy out on a date. A real official date. Their history started with some spilled milk on her new dress in kindergarten. "I'm telling," Candy had exclaimed. "Mrs. Shreve, Arlo ruined my dress." The teacher was shocked that Candy even said a word. She was always so quiet back then, only perking up whenever animals were mentioned or when she felt wronged. The milk did something she and especially Arlo didn't think was possible. A friendship. After a few weeks of grunts and snide glances from Candy, a brute of a child who will remain nameless hounded her about her recent accident in the cafeteria. Arlo rushed to her aid and told the kid to stop it and to leave her alone. The brute pushed Arlo as he fell into some kids who were drawing at the red table. As he fell, he slammed into the corner of the scarlet surface and was stabbed with a pencil in the meatiest part of his hand. The impact of graphite on the linoleum made him tear up as he tried to escape without Candy seeing it. His path was clear to the door as he ran to the bathroom. Miss Shreve was right behind him. "Arlo, stop, just let me look. Are you okay?" He stopped dead in his tracks and spun around to look. "It hurts," he said, holding back tears. She met him in the middle of the hallway. "Here, let me see," she said, gently grabbing his arm as she got on one knee. His hand was covered in blood, as well as his new Converse. The floor also had a trail behind her. Arlo's hand had a scar from that day. He would rub it in anticipation of Candy's presence. He didn't even associate it with the brute anymore, who got his comeuppance when an even bigger brute had not taken lightly to his mouth. That scar, all it made him think about was the good times he shared with her. When his mom died, she was the first one there, holding him as he cried. Her death was sudden and Arlo almost couldn't take it. She had taken his hand after she wiped his face and looked into his eyes. "You are strong because of her," she said, rubbing his scar. That day, he fell in love with her, and the feeling of the soft skin of his old wound became his comfort. Arlo drove to the pier in silence. No music graced his ears this time. Just the sounds of the rubber meeting the road. He had messaged Candy earlier that day asking if she would meet him at their friend's boat. "Hey, it's beautiful out. You should meet Rory and me at the boat. He said he found another place to swim." He had typed it nervously, his right leg bouncing excitedly, rubbing against the seats in the pontoon. He fiddled with his phone, waiting for the buzz that may give him hope. "Are you actually going to go for it today, my man?" Rory had asked him with a smirk, pouring his bush into a solo cup as he sat in the captain's seat. Arlo took his focus away from his phone to his right-hand man. "I hope so, man. I can't take it anymore." Arlo grabbed his cigarettes out of his cargo shorts. "She's all I think about." He lit his Winston. "Well, tell you what, when I take us out to the new spot, I'll give you guys some alone time," Rory said, downing half his cup. "Alone time? Where are you going?" Arlo asked with a smile. "Do you remember that blonde from Sparks, the one I spilled my drink on?" Arlo pondered as he dragged on his smoke. "Was she the one in the tank top?" Rory smiled like a child. "Yep," he said, gazing off into the distance. "That's the one. It was just a little too small. My lord, I thought I'd never see her again." Arlo stood up to stretch. "Sounds like you're going to, huh?" Rory started. "Well, she said she was in town and I told her where we'd be, so she then said that her folks own a cabin through the woods next to the beach." Arlo chuckled. "That creepy-ass run-down place? Dude, she must have been a good one." Rory finished his drink. "Like a slice of heaven." He reached into the cooler for another. "If it's that good again, I might even marry her." "You get married?" Arlo said in sweet shock. "Man, she really did a number on you." Arlo's phone buzzed. Startled, he dropped it on a wet spot on the floor. "Shit," he said, panicking as he grabbed it and wiped the screen dry. Rory chuckled as he cracked his beer. "Man, she really did a number on you," he said, winking. Arlo threw a paper towel that was nearly half empty at Rory's chest. Not only did Rory catch it, but he immediately tossed it right back, contacting Arlo's forehead. "Gah!" Arlo exclaimed, gripping his phone tight while trying to catch the flying absorber. It hit the same wet spot as the phone did. They made eye contact and began laughing. "Kind of wish we had a camera for that one," Arlo jeered. "We always say that," Rory heaved with laughter. Their laughs died down to chuckles when Rory looked at Arlo's phone. "She messaged you again." Arlo opened his phone immediately to see 4 notifications. 2 of them were from Candy. They read, "No way!" and "I'll grab my swimsuit and head over." "Holy shit, it's happening," Arlo said, pacing. "Hey," Rory said, getting Mr. Nervous's attention. "You can do this." Arlo sat down, grabbing another smoke. "I can say it, but I don't know if I want to know what comes after." Rory chuckled. "You really can't see it, can you?" he said as he finished his second drink. "Candy gets excited when you say you're coming to things." Arlo turned his head to look at Rory. "She mentions you every time she talks to me, and she also draws you all the time." Taking a deep drag, Arlo became confused. "Draws me? How do you know that?" Rory started. "I'm not supposed to tell, but I saw her art room lately. Her planner has you all in it." "Bullshit," Arlo said, shaking his head. "No, definitely not bullshit. In fact, there's not even a hint." Rory cracked his third beer. "She only draws your eyes and beard. To be honest, I wouldn't have known it was you had she not finished a picture of you from the waist up." Arlo's eyes widened. He saw her vehicle pull up into the parking lot. Oh man, she's here," Arlo said, winding himself up. "What the fuck do I say to her?" Arlo asked, sweating. "Hello, for starters," Rory said, smiling. Arlo scoffed slightly and began to pace. Rory continued. "She's your friend, always has been. Nothing has changed. She's just waiting on you to make the first move." Candy approached the dock holding her towel, which was wrapped around her phone and suntan lotion. She wore her black bikini under her jean shorts and a camp counselor t-shirt from high school. Her brunette hair was pulled back in a ponytail, bouncing as she walked. She met eyes with Arlo as she stepped onto the dock. "Hey, dork," she said, smiling at him. "Please tell me you have some smokes." Arlo stiffened up and reached into his pocket to show her his Winstons. Yup," he said, shaking. "Always." She got onto the boat and hugged him. "Thank God, I have had an absolute shit day." The hug calmed him down. "Just get a hold of yourself," he thought. "You're gonna make it awkward." He shrugged off his anxiety just enough to squeeze her as well. She left him, looking at Rory, asking, "Beer?" Rory got up and handed her a can and a cup, concealing it. "No beer here, missy. Don't you know it's against the rules?" he said, winking, getting back into the driver's seat. She sat down in the front of the boat on the left side. Rory put on his Oakleys. "All right," he said. "Arlo, untie us. Let me show you what I found." Arlo did as he was asked and sat across from Candy. The engine revved and they were off.